on the beat.
If I'm girl, I swear I love you. Anything I can do for you, yeah. You are the only one for me.
If I'm boy, I swear I love ya. I can't do without ya. I said, baby, you are the one for me.
I swear, it's in my mind to do what you fun and your body jet butter. That only you are taken to the altar, baby. Oh. Baby, oh.
I swear to my mind to do water. Boy, you bad and you make me melt like butter. That only you are taking to my papa. Baby, oh, baby, oh.
My beauty not play. Jetta Carlotta in my high, you got in space. You sweet pass, get away. My heartbeat, you not feeling my brain, then you chocolate my head. Enough for nothing. How you make me say, mon son different, la la la. Money come on, so la la la, la colale, la colale. If I'm girl, I swear I love you. Anything I can do for you, yeah. You are the only one for me.
If I'm boy, I swear I love ya. I can't do without ya. I said, baby, you are the one for me.
I swear, it's in my mind to do what you fun and your body jet butter. That only you are taken to the altar, baby. Oh. Baby, oh.
I swear to my mind to do water. Boy, you bad and you make me melt like butter. That only you are taking to my papa. Baby, oh, baby, oh. You got me like, ooh, ooh. I love to love you, baby. Ooh, ooh. I love to love you, baby. Pull up to my bumper, baby. And you know I like it when you play with me. Never now you say make a true like me go crazy. They say if I had been it, I would break my back. And when he eat it, he can never want to leave it. Running home to mama, now they call you a malapa. You and me, baby. All I need, baby. I say it's you and me, baby. You're all I need, baby.
You know, call my love. You not call my love. I will not leave you. I said, oh,
and I will
never leave you. You know, and I will never leave you. You know, I will. I love you, baby, and I will never leave you. If I'm girl, I swear I love you. Anything I can do for you, yeah. You are the only one for me.
If I'm boy, I swear I love ya. I can't do without ya. I said, baby, you are the one for me.
I swear, it's in my mind to do what you fun and your body jet butter. That only you are taken to the altar, baby, oh, baby, oh.
I swear to my mind to do water. Boy, you bad and you make me melt like butter. That only you are taking to my papa. Baby, oh, baby, oh.
My beauty not play. Jetta Carlotta in my high, you got in space. You sweet pass, get away. My heartbeat, you not feeling my brain, then you chocolate my head. Enough for nothing. How you make me say, mon son different, la la la. Money come on, so la la la.
nurses, our frontline soldiers, those finding themselves in the security sector, they can see this as an opportunity because they are the first people we keep. They are the first people that they are being targeted first to take the vaccines. So we hope that they can work in line with health authorities. And like we said, since Saturday, 5 to 10 days onward, since Saturday, the entire distribution or the vaccination process will have begun. So we say thanks to our healthcare workers, we thanks to the Ministry of Health, the National Public Health Institute, so thanks to the government, for another milestone again. We hope Liberians can see that as another opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're hoping to hear from some of our reporters at the various cemeteries to tell us exactly how things are unfolding, where usually at this time during the course of the year, we receive the kind of reports, the fighting of ownership of graves. No, this is my mother's grave. No, this is my father's grave. Some of the graves, like we said on yesterday, being abandoned for a period of time. Don't step on it. Don't, painting and all of these things are going on. But we're hoping that the day will go and respecting those who have faithfully departed us in an order and form of manner that we can still go back and say, yes, it worth the cost of going to make sure we give facelift and have to organize ourselves for a better celebration. And let today not be a day. This is the day set aside for our heroes. Remembering our heroes, remembering those who imparted too many positive things into our lives. Those who were able to shift our country where we found it today in their major contribution while they were like to our educators who have departed, our doctors, our nurses, our support staff, security officers who laid down their lives, our soldiers, gallant men and women in iron who laid down their lives defending this country, defending us, that we will not just allow this go unnoticed for us saying, look, thank you, Lord, for these people. Our chiefs, our elders, our zones, our pastors, our bishops, and all of these people who made huge contribution, our ex-presidents, foreign ministers, ambassadors, and all of these people, journalists as well, Some of our great musicians, our soccer stars, basketball legends, and all of these people who were being laid to rest some years back and recently. These are the time to say yes, they deserve something far better than us. Today is not politics for the occasion where people go into dockery. Because now let me say something to you. If you are not mindful, I say this and it will be reported. There are others who serve political institutions in this country. They were buried at some of the cemetery in the country. So you will find the party will send people to go and decorate. And probably around there, you find another person who came from another political party who died. If you are not mindful, there will be some scuffle. Yes. And we're hoping that we will not have such report today.
We hope. And we just pray that we are not faced with such a situation where people are fighting, my grave here, my uncle here, my auntie, my relative here, and but like we said yesterday, I remember we always set a very bad precedent. This is actually bad. People who are in the habit, after people have buried their loved ones, they go there, take it off, and place another person's body there. It's actually bad.
But this is strictly at the level of those who are heading various cemeteries, especially in cities and townships. I mean, it's not something. Maintenance is a serious concern that's been raised by a lot of folks, and we're hoping to have all of these people. So, like I said earlier on this morning, at 8 o'clock this morning, we've had Sheikh Mohammed Ayub Dukle. Sheikh Mohammed Ayub Dukle is a seasoned auditor, and and we have Reverend Doctor will also be on the platform this morning. We're going to look at our religious affairs in this country, how we have coexisted, what's moving on forward, what are some of those things that threaten to turn us apart. They will certainly join us on the platform later at 8 o'clock this morning. So moving on forward, we say thank you so much to all of you who are watching us and leaving all of your comments. Religious Institute monitoring the peace over the period of time. Sheikh Mohammed Ayuba Dukle, will be on this show later this morning. So it's going to be a wonderful presentation.
Liberia. When Liberia faced with this turmoil, more than 250,000 souls were lost during the Civil War, and Ebola came again with its own pinch. Then the issue of coronavirus, and there was some unforeseen occurrence, untold occurrence that happened that led to the loss of lives. You remember just recently with the issue of the carbon monoxide that led to 8 persons dying. And there have been a lot of deaths into Liberia. And like I said, it's just good to have all these people in mind. And that's what we're calling and cautioning our citizens out there today. You got to be very careful, mindful how you go on today. It should be, this day should be a day where you have a super reflection. Just imagine 250,000 people and those of Ebola, coronavirus, can see even around the world, into the United States and other parts of the world. A lot of treasure lives were lost. Illnesses, sickness, and other tragic activities, motor accident have led to a lot of deaths. So it's good today, like I said, let's just go about this day with a reflection of mind, having all of those who have departed this earth on, and do it with respect. We don't want to see people fighting, and people will have to get intoxicated to the level that, because while we're also while we're observing this day, we also want to preserve the lives we already have. Yeah, the motorcyclists, drivers, please just take your time today. Don't mind the situation, you get blown up. At the end of the day, protecting another life become a problem, and an issue of accident. Let's just avoid it today. So
Yeah, where you want to make enough money, because there are a lot of movements today. People are moving from one destination. There are others who want to go to 2-3 graves today to pay some level of respite in terms of where their family members been laid to rest over the period of time, to give their facelift after a long period of time. Some have traveled far and near to be so. Some have come from abroad into the country as well. And others are moving and making sure all of these things are happening. But it's good that we all respect them, as we hoping to see things well for our country. Let us understand we need to save the lives that we already have. And we know you want to make all your money, you want to be there, you want to do this, you want to do that, but let us make sure that we do not report the number of deaths. And confusion at the various cemeteries should be well handled. Our officers should be on full alert, making sure control, and health protocols should also be followed this morning. So as soon as we get voice from some of our reporters across, they will be telling us certainly where they are and how things are unfolding at those cemeteries across Liberia on this wonderful day. Nimba United, all of the places, we will hear from all of the folks there this morning. Not only yesterday, a couple of days, listening to all of what I've been training, foreign, listening to the U.S. ambassador, I think it's resonating to some point in time. The Minister of Labor has threatened to take action. He has asked the Commerce Achievement, the Liberia Achievers Commerce, that definitely they will have to provide 500 jobs. Knowing fully well that, so these people are also, to some extent, trying to stagnate government or providing jobs for the young people, and knowing all of the policies, all of these things. And people been serving the Ministry of Labor over the period of time. And where there are a lot of foreign companies with the knowledge of too many people serving in various capacity that Liberians cannot actually serve in those positions, but we are not seeing that happening so easily in our country.
It's a serious thing.
And that's why we were saying on yesterday, as it relates to our young people that we bring as Zogos and whatever we call them, because these people, they are trained and the minds are disciplined and the capacity is fully built. Bringing somebody to drive trucks, people to cook, doing house cleaning and all these things, you would definitely have our brothers and sisters who will be fully prepared to do these jobs.
Yeah, so now when people are actually busy, they don't have the time to go sit down in one little corner and taking all sort of substances that will lead into a poor, deteriorating health condition. But you see, I'm one of those who have actually found on our authorities, especially at the labor ministry. The labor ministry, they are not really doing their work. When I listen to just gives you the knowledge to the fact that, oh yeah, we now know that we will now work out to the strength and do what is right. I said, wow, so it's now time to get to know this thing here. Yeah, it's now time we get to know this thing. And we hear, let's just talk a little bit to Marcin Pacquiao. He is the executive director of the Justice Forum Liberia, especially as Liberia observed this day, remembering the death of more than 250,000 Liberians who lost their lives into the senseless war. They want to have their own say on this process this morning. Let's just talk to him succinctly. Good morning, Mr. Pacquiao.
Good morning, Matt, and good morning to Weekie, and also good morning to your people that are out there. It's good to be on the platform this morning. I didn't even know that you guys would be at work this morning because it's holiday.
Yeah, we don't have holiday. We are always here prepared to inform the Liberian people.
We are sorry as well, borders.
Yeah, Maxine, today it brings a lot of memories, And there've been some deaths either by accident or by sickness or some other unforeseen occurrences. But remembering what has happened to Liberia with this senseless war, more than 250,000 lives were lost. Ebola also had a tour on Liberia, and the coronavirus again. Today is another special day. What's your own position on this thing as Liberia remember those who have died as an institution?
Yes, nearly about almost 20 years now. My first time to be back in Liberia and be here to witness Decoration Day. Things like how it used to be celebrated 20 years ago when I was in Liberia. It's no longer that way. It's more of very strange. In fact, the way I heard you guys describing how the atmosphere can be at websites where people are arguing over grades. I mean, it's so strange to me to hear that because that never used to happen 20 years ago or 19 years ago. But with that, what happened is now we want to join you guys, including all of those that are sincerely remembering, the dead today. Those of us that are having, a kind of reflective and newspaper reflection. It's those people who are going to join today to say, well, we want to, Justice Forum Liberia, we want to say a very, very big sorry to Liberia as a whole and to individual family members who have lost their loved ones. But as advocates for the war and economic crimes for Liberia and all the implementation of the DRC recommendations, Justice Forum Liberia is usually insensitive with all of those that we know during the madness that took place there, a so-called freedom fighter war. We want to remember them in a special way. Children, the unborn ones, some of them, they never ever saw this planet Earth, and they were sent to their great beyond. The old, the young, and all those who people, planned and took their lives away. We want to remember them in a very, very special way today, and as we commemorate the dead in Liberia. And also, as you mentioned, Ebola is, a huge setback for us as well in Liberia, and some of us were not here, but we wake up in the morning and we see reports and see live screens of shows of our people being transported to hospital or being looking at somebody dying. So those people, we want to also remember them, and we just want to manage that period. Let's reflect and let's think that we've come a long way, and we need to really reunite ourselves with conscious minds, and then rebuild this nation. We've lost so much and so many people as well, and there's no need for us to actually do those things that will actually take us back again to days.
Yeah, to the dark days where we'll have to lose the treasure lives of our citizens. Mr. Pacquiao, as Liberian observe this day, The president has said, declared a proclamation after this a holiday, allowing Liberians to go about to remember that their loved one, especially cleaning those areas having a need. Mr. Bakio, what's your message to Liberians as they go on observing this day?
It's strange, now, especially given the description that you guys have given, how this day is now being celebrated or is now being commemorated. I think it's disappointing to note that we were instead, or many others were instead, take it as a day of, you know, uh, taking in huge quantities of alcohol and other carrying of fight at the grave sites also, and forgetting about the individuals that have gone to pay human respect. So it's something to know to hear that these things are happening today at grave sites. I just want to admonish Liberians and those who are on their way and listening to your broadcast that go there with a single mind and reflection of your relative or your family member, and think about perhaps what their contribution in your family home as well. And then also, I think that if you carry fight at the graveside, you are also disrespecting them, and you are not actually honoring them, and you are not remembering them in a good way. So let's put aside that as far as the issue of intoxication is concerned, I think that we have to reduce that at graveside. It is not, it's really not good in the interest of those that we are remembering on this day.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Bakio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the program.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and good day.
Okay. Yeah, and he talking about this, the admonishing other Liberians is very much important. Why we want to respect our dear loved ones, we will also have to do it with care. If you look at somebody, just imagine we keep bush have covered the Liberian oldest cemetery in the heart of the city today. If you go there, you won't just believe it. Grass. And so now, why people pay money to these places and these places are not tidying up? Yeah, people pay money to all of the areas. People pay money to bury. People pay money at these sites. But when you go there, it is frustrating. If you just go to the Park Grove Cemetery this morning, you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, and these places are managed by the city government and a township as well, especially when they fall in the city. We expect the city corporation, the division or department that are usually responsible for such. You go to in other township and other places across, people having multiple graves, argument all over the place. Sometimes you look at maintenance is so poor, and we want to get to know how active people are working when such a day come by. Then you see people working. You got security. You got this is grave cemeteries across our seems to be a high out, except for some of the private cemeteries being controlled by other individuals now, strictly restricting how people how things are done there. But most of the time, what we see right now, things seems to be just falling apart.
Go to the area.
We are no longer remembering our heroes.
Yes.
Our heroes, we are not remembering that. We do not even know that our kids are growing up, do not even know so many graves, historical sites. Where even today should be a day where tourists will be raising millions of dollars for our revenue. If you go and talking about going to the grave of Joseph Jingen Rapper, Matilda Nipo. You just name the rest of the other folks.
The Bob Gray.
Yeah, Bob Gray.
All the good people that walk like Liberia. It's a sad thing.
Kinsau Boso, you go you go into the Boso, looking at all of these things like Kerry. He talked about the deportation of people who were doing jobs that Liberians were so much capable of doing. All of these things were said initially when he got to the position. And he was on the field, and after that, people could not hear anything. Our labor inspectors, they were going to these places, they were coming back. Workers were concerned, telling them some of the bad labor practices and all of these things. They were not even talking anything of such. And that left a door. And today, we have another revelation emitted to us. So now 500 jobs. That's a good little number to start up with. Gradually and gradually, you find more Liberians who like he said something in his comment, and which is key. We've said this and doing every time we've said it on the platform. We have put up graduates from the law school, the agriculture college, the teachers college, mass community. These are people who can serve in various corporate institutions. Institutions running lawyer. Then Antonia Law and all of these things. And we got them, man, they on ground. Heavy duty drivers. We got vocational schools where people are teaching. And these people should be working. Students are being put on an annual visit. So why are we saying in their life, you see one man, that's what the man from. He's from this country. We are not against our brothers from our neighboring countries or other African or foreign nationals coming to Liberia to work. But in other countries, these rules and laws are so strict. And unlike Liberia, we think we need to certify people who have come outside our country more than to certify the citizenry. The people who come outside, they will not vote for you. They will not stand with you.
Yeah. And these jobs are just earmarked for Liberian. Like only Liberian. But at the end of the day, it's been compromised. Like you said,
and that's why I say after every 5 years, some of the positions will have to change hands over a period of time. So if you have a manager, the deputy should be a Liberian. Controller, deputy. Then you have to balance the book. You say, they are qualified Liberians. There are very astute young people in this country who have been working, who are capable of prepared to make sure they get.
And mind you, we get 500 jobs for Liberia now. It's just like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, but
let's start from that point.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Having 500 working, again another 500 joining, another one. We make your mind. You have about 2,000-3,000 Liberians already being employed and working on. Let's just listen to him again.
In the next few days, we'll be revoking almost 20 work permits because these things cannot happen. We can't be looking for jobs and we have it on our feet. There are concessions in this country that have it spelled up in the concession agreement. After 5 years, 50% of the senior management position should be Liberian. Some of them, after 8 years, you don't have one Liberian there. It's unacceptable. We went straight for that portion that says certain job for Liberia. If you give it to us, you general manager, we give you a time frame, we'll revoke your work permit. It means that you're taking Liberia for granted. Because I would rather create 5 jobs for Liberians who will get minimum $500 a month. They will sign 5 work permits that will bring $5,000 into the government revenue. With the residual value of a citizen working and the extended responsibility far outweighs the $5,000 that will come in government revenue.
You see, you listen to him there again. They say jobs are right under our feet, but instead we are looking somewhere else and we allow other people coming in. See how our people are being treated by these are foreign partners. We welcome them into Liberia. Coming to do business, it's a good thing. But see how the Liberians are treated. Liberians in some areas are treated in a very inhumane manner, on a very serious note. These most don't even respect Liberians.
Okay, folks, let me just remind our audience coming at 8 o'clock this morning, we'll have Reverend John D. Camo on the platform. And Sheikh Ayuba Dukli will also join us as well, Iman, to talk about our, the role of religious institution in our country, managing the peace and stability that we have all enjoyed over the period of time. John D. Camo Reverend is the senior pastor of Zion Grove Baptist Church in Broadville, Liberia, program director, peace building and reconciliation of Liberia. And we got Sheikh Mohammed Ayuba Dukli. Sheikh Mohammed Ayuba Dukli, a seasoned auditor, a multi-dimensional intellectual. They will join us on the platform live. You will watch them as they present the case because, we are Liberians in a country that have coexisted in terms of being religious tolerance in our country. What been reported by others so difficult to be reported in Liberia. So they're gonna be here. Sheikh Mohammed Douglas will join us this morning, and we will definitely. He holds and attained his BPA Master in Accounting, respectively, for Morehouse University, very historical university there in the United States. So this morning, we'll listen to that 8 o'clock this morning, and they will be on. So thank you so much this morning for joining us. But let's take a few calls this morning before 8 o'clock, and as we look at exactly some of the trending issues we'll be talking about, most especially on this day. And probably you are at a cemetery and you have seen exactly what's going on and knowing exactly what's unfolding there. How is it now? How is it going? We will talk to all of our reporters and correspondents on this wonderful day this morning as they talk it up to this wonderful day. Welcome. This is the Morning Ride. This is your platform, and we're back here this morning. Keep watching. We'll certainly read some of your comments on later this morning, but we will certainly talk to Sheikh Mohammed Douglas this morning, Imam, and we also talk to Pastor John D. Kamoa, of the Zion Grove Baptist Church. We are going to be looking at religious tolerance and maintaining the peace and the role of religious institutions in Liberia with politics that have taken over this country and then tearing things apart. Thank you so much to this call of your life.
Good morning, Weekie.
Good morning.
And let me say good morning to Liberia. The name is Nukwe A. George, and I joined you this morning from Baptist Seminary. Weekie, this morning, let me be thankful and appreciative to you guys for bringing this audio out. Because if it was not by your effort or your ABG in journalism, this audio couldn't have come out by now. But after I listened to the audio, I'm deeply broken down in my heart and feel like Liberia is going nowhere. But yet still, I know that there is hope for us. This audio, that's what that came out. If you listen to the audio as an individual, you feel like listening to the part he said about the job permit. Indians, Lebanese, Chinese, they get job permit just on a feeling of an eye. They sit right in their office and just call, and the work permit come to them. But Liberians are here and are struggling. They are not even they are finding it difficult. The only work that can be given to them is to work at store. But why? If UL just pour out thousands of graduates, these graduates are now going to be on the street and be struggling, are now going to be on the street.
And the question there, just before we leave, the question there, these are laws on the book. These are things that have been existing for long. What is it? Can we give ourselves reasons of have we properly checked and have been able to fix and ready that things will properly go, or we just want to make another statement because we find ourselves in a position or to one occasion and speaking. Thank you so much to this caller your life.
Good morning,
Yeah, good morning, sir. Let's hear you.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Bella when I call from Lupolo. Weekie, let me appreciate you guys this morning for this discussion. I didn't know why yesterday he spoke on the same issue, but I think there's another political decorum that the Labour Minister is bringing up, right? Because you listen to most of what previously, he said similar thing about the present. We've gone 3 years now under the regime of President George Weah without anything being done. When he said Nigeria are not going to be specific to their economy, but we see they're not even close to the stadium. So today, I think there is yet another political encounter. So we are not going to give credit to this minister. He tried to say something to the Liberian and sitting to and say, yeah, the people are working. Like the president said, they should be rewarded. And I think he just nailed it. Thank you very much this morning.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for your contribution this morning. And that's sometimes some of these statements when you made some of these statements when they are made at a point in time, we have seen that the fact that you talk about 500 jobs, we're hoping that they have identified the Liberia Chamber of Commerce have identified those places where 500 of our brothers and sisters will be placed, at least to have something doing, to have food on the table. We don't want tomorrow. This is something I say, and after a period of time, we hear that people, young folks, and out of adults are before the Ministry of Labor protesting of the job that were promised by the minister. We have seen these things over the period of time in our country.
Yeah.
I hope they are sincere, they know exactly the timing and exactly know how to get the job done, because most of the time these things after a period of time, people say, well, we heard they were going to give a job. My energy minister promised 500 jobs a month. It told people that were barricaded at the Ministry of Youth and Sports and needed and were demanding for the job.
And we need to be serious because Liberian people are in dire need of jobs. So it's not just about making statements. They need to be very serious. Seriously. Like you said, I hope they are now identify the areas. They are now identify all where they want to have the jobs. Because Liberians are waiting.
Yeah.
If you say 500 now, trust me, you'll get more than 2,000 person coming.
We don't want demonstration.
Yeah, it should not just be another talk. You know, you just go talk and say, yeah, let me just talk so that the people can hear me, or let me just talk so the people know I'm working. Now you talk about revoking work permits. How possible? How sure are we going to happen? Is it will just be another message or another words said to Liberians, and or at the end of the day, it's just another fiasco, and you just leave those people again. We see more coming. You see you awarding more work permits to foreigners instead of giving jobs to Liberians. Like he said, they prefer to give Liberian jobs. Even when you get something here today, it goes right to your family. It goes right, but the foreigner, the alien coming, you pay him hugely, and he takes the money to the family. And the people are left in the cold.
Okay, let's take just a few more calls and we will call it a day. So this caller, your live.
Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
Thank you. First, my name is Moses Solomon. I joined you from City Street. Shandy Jacob Avenue. Good morning. Let me say thank you. The minister spoke well. And we should not create, I'll let you some proper schools to set up.
Please discuss your own and leave what the other caller said, because your view will certainly be respected as well.
Yes, sir.
So go to the point.
The minister spoke in some details for. So actually, we should not create that now. Let us see how they're thinking. In channel that issue that you made, that the Leo ministry can be somehow.
Thank you so much to the scholar your life.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is John for join you from Mumbai from the
Okay, you're welcome, John.
All right, I wanted to thank you again this morning for the show. And you know, it's a kind of a big and in Nigeria because you see young people nowadays we are a form of migrant because we put time to education, to work, and do whatever the thing we can do at least to be able to get employment in our own country. You know, it's a kind of a difficult task for us. And it's so fantastic that some of us will get to know this morning that we have labor ministry in this country. To be frank. But even here, actually, we are saying now to get internship.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. God have mercy. Thank you.
Thank you so much to this caller.
Good morning, Patrick. Could you be a little bit audible, please?
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm Patrick Solo.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you know, this new program is somebody that I'm working with customers now. I just say that it's a key because some of the problems we are having is because we have to go for the implementation, and more than that, the thinking that they will come down and some of these companies will go in our government. I think I also expect the performance of the living ministry coupled with insecurity that some of the study. You know, for example, we just observe the president went for the country to work that even in the country where fashion is going to the construction building continues know the person, God will do. So we hope that God will some of the things. Some of the things he said that in his book, some of the comments of those who are practicing our school.
Okay.
I hope you also look at that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we're hoping that all of these things will properly happen. Remember, this law minister on occasions were rejected. Yeah. The license will also cease. You were asked to pay some money. Hoping that these kind of statement at times when you are not mindful is about public sentiment to restore a proper character among the citizenry that look, I've changed, I've gone, I've repented, and this is why I'm serving. This was the first minister of justice.
Yeah.
Nominated by the president.
On the inauguration day. But
And who was later the president withdrew the appointment. He was also sent a board chair again and was rejected. Labrador Steel Corporation and other places. So, but finally he got his confirmation, and it's good that we're hoping that he can be a serious impact to the lives of the young people or people in Liberia who will have a job. But I take this break. We're hoping to make our connection as soon as we do. We're certainly. But also it's actually open, but we need to observe all of the health protocols and call them to the president. Listen to this one.
TuneLiberia.com. Ladies and gentlemen, all travels from all countries to over 200 or more.
And looking at the role of religious institution into our country, rules of a religion into our country as it relates to maintaining the peace and all of these in politics. All of these things happen in our country. Exactly how we have seen our country. So maintaining the peace is key and capital to attracting investors and all of these people that will come to the country. But before I do that, let me go to our KOOL line page this morning. A lot of you watching this morning or leaving all their comments. Let's see whether we can read some of the comments before we go back to the line this morning. Robert Menlo say good morning, Mr. Brooks and the people of Mama Liberia. It's Robert Miller and I'm watching live from Mauritius. Thank you for always giving up the information. Omar Ability say coordinating. Mr. Brooks, my name is Omar Ability, watching you for SD Corporate. Thank you. Lincoln Walikama Miawe said nice, and I'm watching you for Ganta City in my county. Thank you so much, Lincoln. Emmanuel Colley said good morning, Mr. Brooks. My name is Emmanuel Colley, and I'm watching you live for SD Corporate. Thanks for the topic on the discussion. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Gabriel Lapa, I say good morning, Mr. Brooks, and I'm watching for Omega Community Pinto City. Thank you so much, Gabriel. And this one comes for Lawrence P. Bubba Jr. Say good morning, Mr. Brooks and Mr. Vi. And I'm Lawrence P. Bubba Jr. watching live on 72nd Boulevard, Moses Moise and Junior say good morning, Mr. Brooks and Mr. Bob. Now watching you live from Diversified Community Beyond White Fence, So Clean in Mind, Dirty Yeah, to be precise. I bless God so much for you guys for always informing Liberia on important issues. Let God continue. Emmanuel Palacio walk by say good morning, Mr. Brooks and Antonio Vi. Emmett Hammond say good morning, KOOL FM. And Jay in Kubu Boakai say good watching live on GSA Road. Credits Fire Tubo say good morning, Mr. Brooks, and I'm JB watching you live from Solomon, the boys Shop Zuba time. Thank you. The boys, good morning to you and good morning to all of the folks there as well. And this one comes from Epic Hammond again. He said, watching KOOL family, I'm watching you from Oro. You stand for the truth. Thank you so much. Patrick Blaming said, good morning, my senior brothers in studio. And I'm Patrick Blaming watching you live from Dupont Road Resident. And this one comes from To My Sweet Track again. Say good morning. And Lauren Zoga said, good morning, my KOOL family. I'm Lauren Zoga watching you from my Woo Camp community. Thanks for always performing your duty diligently with passion. May the Almighty God continue to guide and protect you and your family. Aaron Nangwe said, good morning, Mr. Brooks. My name is Aaron Nangwe, and I'm watching you from my Gobacha resident, to be precise, Basel time. And Candy Mai, Thomas said, good morning, KOOL family. Watching, say, KOOL family. It's Thomas F. Candy Mai. I'm watching you from my resident in Bamba time, community RIA. Thanks for always informing the librarian on national issues. And Abraham Nicholas Nulai say good morning. I'm Abraham T. Nulai. Good morning, veteran journalist. Thanks for the update every morning. Aaron Blurman say good morning, and I watch him live from Zubatine community. J. Sylvia Goodness. So good morning, Mr. Brooks, and good morning, KOOL family. And J. Sylvia Goodness. J. Sylvia Goodness. Watching you live from Bright Light. Thanks for being always there for Liberian people. Have a God bless day. Alfred F.S. Bobo say good morning, Mr. Vi, Mr. Brooks, and I'm watching you live from mine. I'm watching you live from Dwazon, Margibi County. And Joseph P. Ballet say good morning, KOOL family, and let God be with you people. Chris J. Charlie say good morning to KOOL family. Chris J. Charlie watching him from Soul Clinic. Johnson Saturday Freeman, as usual. He said, good morning, Mr. Brooks and Mr. Va. My name is Johnson Freeman, and I'm watching you from watching the show from Wiyala this morning. He's always there in Margibi County watching us. And Vavi Sherry said, good morning, KOOL family, live from V City. Ayuba Cannon said, I'm watching you from my end. Minister Darlington said, good morning, Brooks, and I'm watching you from GSA Road. Maxine S. Nyeman said, good morning, KOOL family, and I'm mixing and I'm following from the FDS community. Thank you so much, and thanks to all of you this wonderful day. And this is it, and that's why we're talking about this morning. So we're making sure that our people who are not hearing us and telling us, look, things are going to be fine, jobs to be created for our young people. We're hoping that these jobs will actually be provided to the folks on this wonderful day, on this day. So let's hear from some of our callers before 8:30 this morning. At 8:30, we'll certainly join, Sheikh Mohammed Dukli this morning, Iman, and we'll also talk to Reverend John D. Camo of the Zion Grove Baptist Church, looking at, the role of religious institutions in our country in maintaining the peace, how we been able to do these things. So let's go to the line and talk to our callers on the line this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
You're welcome, Chief.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. I'm not following the story. I come from Limba, Electoral District number 3. My name is Daniel Maza. We have serious concern here concerning the 1.5 million given by the President of Liberia. Our Limba County Superintendent took the money for us possibly, trying to damage the image of the VC-led government, and we are fighting to get the money. He refused. He has used some insulting language on our foreign issue. So we are concerned to know Bellingham, Texas, Israel, converge and resolve to carry on peaceful demonstration for the still disappearance of our money, which is the tomb of terrorism that was taken away by the Council Superintendent Nelson Convoy. We'd like to appear on the shore to give you a type of that happened to us in human family here.
Okay. Okay, we got the information. We will definitely work on it. Thank you so much. Keep listening from Nema County to this call of your life.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's a pleasure coming on the show this morning. And the topic on discussion is very key and very pertinent. We need to actually listen in again and do more research about the labor ministry. What are some of the rights of the Liberian citizens? But let me tell you, we're watching see. There are many people who say, oh yeah, I work with the man and so forth. There's a group, you would never believe that place. It's a total different place. The blueprint in that place, when you see the blueprint, when you go to the blueprint, you will know that Liberia deserves what they deserve.
Yeah, and even by working with these people, other people are working with them and still stating have not changed. So by working with them doesn't authenticate that this will happen. But we wanted it to happen.
That's what I'm saying. If you enter that place, there's a blueprint. Everything about that place is right, so Liberians and everything, but you will never believe, hey, this is the country people resign from public sector to go to the private sector to go to the public sector. You resign from a private job just to go in the government to work. Because labor will tell you that no organization or no company is supposed to pay higher than the government and so forth. Alright? And there are a lot of constraints about the social security taxes and everything. Look, everything about this country, the MHE system is very poor. It's very poor. They will not want the money.
Thank you, my brother, for your concern this morning. Let's talk to other callers who joining us on the line. The live this wonderful Wednesday morning.
Good morning.
This is Summer and Shalom. Now joining from the president.
You can't go ahead.
Our country is not a country that we have that of good policy, but this country is lacking implementation. Not only in the law ministry, for example, I have read the Education Act that has a lot of things there for improvement of our schools. But you read that people get there instead of looking for arguments and they transform things into their own thing. They will continue to remain in this situation where we cannot identify the policies that we're supposed to implement, and every time we drinking okay. Let me tell you. So what people discussing is that the country doesn't have a good essay or food essay plan to navigate the country. It's not about some people. Let me tell you. The conclusion after that about let's say would anyone discuss the actual motive in topic? It is not about just being likely with people and people. You saw that after the as there and you found teacher will be for that and I was liking. You talk about supervision. Today the both are grown school, the wire, the visual education, they care for supervision. But you know that hearing all around that is
Thank you so much. We need to stick to the discussion. We'll talk about that. We've been looking at that. Let's hear from this caller. Your live.
Good morning. Go ahead. Your live. Wait a minute, you all kind of noise and what happening? So you yelling all kind of stuff in the background. Okay. Yeah, we got to change the location in 2020 because we get no feedbacks from
terrible feedbacks as we get in it this morning. But we want to say to all of you this morning, folks, today is a historical day, not for us who are alive, but we hoping we remember our heroes, people Because in our country, we are now remembered for all of the great things you do while alive. So you got to understand that we have to work on these things to make sure that we are getting there. And so at 8:30 this morning, our guests will be live on the line this morning, and as a matter of fact, on the radio as well as on the KOOL line. You will certainly see them as we talk about the issue of the role of religious institutions in our country, most especially the Christians and the Muslims in fostering and maintaining the peace of our country. Politics are divided this country in so many ways, so they're going to be giving their own side as it relates to how we talk about these things and what's happening in the process. So, whatever you are, welcome, folks, and let's have a jolly good time together on this wonderful, wonderful day. So, but let's hear from a few other callers before 8:30 this morning as we talk about, now, weeks back when the president visited Nima County, you also spoke about this issue of where concern was being raised by money that was given by the president and some other citizens, other places who complained that they did not receive the money and other things took place. So, what's going on? Nima County superintendent, fingers being pointed on all of these things.
Yeah, Nelson Kwakwe is been here on the spotlight again. They are saying that money for the county, another serious problem. The city mayor was one of those asking, Mr. President, please keep me in the position. Because every time they put yes, they can move me, they can think that a lot of things will development will start in this part. But people are not just careful. Liberia as a whole, our leaders, they quick to just eat money very fast, and thereby not knowing that your character is on the line. There's been a lot of questions asked about money given. Now you have to do something. If the people are asking, they can get clarity. The next thing you hear, the next thing you're going to hear is a demonstration, a protest. They're going to protest. They say, yeah, we got to protest. Nobody can talk to us. You see, but I hope, and it's always good when authority hear or see these things happen at this stage. It's good to move ahead, go there, and have dialogue with the citizens, to talk and sit down around a round table. And because it should not always reach to the point where there should be protest. There should be protest. There should be protest. And even today again, the Tabata District University College Student Association, they also frown on the attitude of District 6, a lawmaker into Nima County and Darwin Creek for using $30,000 United States dollars to buy vehicle while students of the district struggle to obtain financial aid. And you see, these are some of the issues there. You wouldn't concern about yourself. You wouldn't concern about what you will get or your living standard. What's about those students? And you are leading them, they depend on you, they look up to you. And they say, yes, since you are there, they won't have these services provided. By the end of the day now, you go in there, you're taking the money. 30,000 just to buy a car. It's a sad day, Weekie. And I hope our leaders can really learn from these things and work in the interest of the citizens, especially those who have elected them, and then to work into that interest.
Certainly, we're hoping that these things will not get away. Investigation will be conducted by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and other stakeholders from nearby other places on these allegations. We are not saying that these are facts. We will also conduct our own background investigation, but this offensively reported by us when the concern were raised in other places, state citizens, and other people still complaining about money that was given to them and how it went about. But we're hoping that things will go as planned and results will be put before the table, and Liberians will actually get to know exactly what's happening. Because protest after protest, you all hear they're talking that they are planning a peaceful protest. In recent days, we have seen a number of protests so far coming up in our country. Like I said, 8:30 this morning, we talked to Sheikh Mohammed, Dublin this morning, and we will talk to as well Reverend John D. Kamo of the Zion Baptist Church there in Brockville this morning. looking at the role of religious institution in Liberia in maintaining the peace. As you know, politics. Even our traditional people have now got involved in the politics. Some of our religious leaders have also been into politics. And politics have seemed to be tearing apart the coexistence of religious institutions in our country and being religious tolerant. But how can we coexist and how we will manage in the role that they be able to play over the period of time in getting to have all of these institutions collectively how we maintain the peace. So this morning we will talk to them. And you can watch live on our KOOL Online 2 page as well. Let me go back to read some of your comments coming in this morning from our KOOL Online page. This one come from Ayuba Kenneth. I'm watching from my end. Alexander Keith said, good morning, Weekie, and I'm watching you from Soul Clinic Pins. You're turning for the program this morning. Ligori Modric Musa, I said, good morning, KOOL family, and may God bless and give you strength. And I'm Ligori Musa this morning. Keep watching, keep listening to this program this morning as we set it up this wonderful day. And these are some of the things that we're talking.
Yeah, and we keep, and more importantly too, you remember three lawmakers. They have joined their colleague. They are the 54th National Legislature, the National Defense Commission headed by Director Brown Lassanage. They are certificated 3 lawmakers who are successfully their cases have been adjudicated. I'm talking about electoral disputes by the Supreme Court of Liberia, representative of District Number 9, Muslim County, Friend Safoko.
Yeah, who replaced the late Representative Monopena Blood.
He's there. And James Barnum, Senator-elect also, and even in particular,
Maryland County.
Yeah,
and then that of
and they have now joined their colleagues there. We say welcome to them. You know, yesterday was the induction ceremony of them. How was it laughing?
And you know, these are 2 former lawmakers returning, namely Batikwa and that of James Barnum.
Yeah.
You know, so we expect they have come with wealth of experiences and not this time to come and do the issue of party politics, but put the national interest and making sure that Liberia can move forward. Yeah, it's time to serve the country. It's time to serve the country and put aside serving individual or serving political institution, because at the end of the day, these are the same people you run back to and want to be re-elected. People, you cannot even count the votes that you got to take you to where you are, you know, and that's why most of the time our leaders can make mistakes. When you win on the ticket of this party, you think that only members or partisans of that party that went on to vote for you. That is not it. There are people with good mind in making critical analysis and scrutinizing individual, whether you're from the party and they don't see you as the person to deliver, they will not vote you in. There are people who will not tell you that I'm party discipline in this direction, and when the party says this, meaning that we have to go and do it. There are others who say, look, though he comes from the opposition, but I think this person can deliver, and they will definitely vote you. And there are others who will be on the other side say, look, I think this person, regardless of how people want to picture the ruling party, but I think that this person coming from this party, this person can actually do the work and make sure that things are actually done. Yeah. So you
and one thing we got gathered yesterday, you know, all of the 3 lawmakers, one thing they have gathered, they acknowledged the fact that the Supreme Court, I mean the National Defense Commission, did extremely well in adjudicating these cases, whether at the Supreme Court level, whether at hearing officers. They were able to acknowledge the fact that elections were free and fair, and they say yes, we were part of this process, we went through it, we tested it, we now know what has happened, and with the kind of perception that others had, you know, people started to say, oh, the election commission, you know, that policy commission there, and they support the ruling party, the other one do the one, the other one do that one, but they were able to acknowledge the fact that the election had a very free and fair process, because all of them were given the chance. All of them, whether you have issues of irregularities, whether you had a complaint filed, they were able to get it listened. Those issues were listened to, and at the end of the day, it was adjudicated. The cases
Yeah,
were adjudicated.
they won, so you gotta be free and fair.
Yeah. And there are other countries.
You know, sometimes we gotta be sincere with what we say. You know, the Elections Commission now will receive all of the praises from those who win. How many people you have listened to, except for Honorable Thomas Fowler, who saw alone ahead and were able to congratulate and tell Honorable DeLon, thank you, you have won. He still the only person who went on to do that. The likes of Blue and the rest of the other folks considered defeat, and they admitted and they congratulated DeLon. But almost all of the other places, people have gone to court.
Yeah, there been a serious problem.
People have gone to court. People have not even been able to develop the mind or even extending the hands. There are some who today, since after the defeat, they have not been able to see eye to eye. They have not been able to see how best we can work together. Those who have won and been certificated have not gone to those who were defeated and said, look, let's smoke the peace pipe. Let's move this country forward and in the interest of our country. And there are those who also who got defeated and have refused to accept defeat and are not willing to work with so many people. You know, when you go into the kind of contest, you got to go with your mind open that you can be defeated and you can be victorious. But if you go with the mind, it's a must at all costs. Most of it, that's what got the problems. You know, most of the people get carried away by the electorates. When they are having petition programs, they're having other rally, other things, campaign, you see the numbers turning up. They are convinced by the crowd they saw. And those who will go vote, they will not write on it from this party or from that party. So Sheikh Mohammed Al-Dukle is a seasoned auditor, a multi-dimensional intellectual, a humanitarian, and a public servant. He will be on the platform over this morning. He holds, obtained his BBA master degree in accounting, respectively from Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and the Mason School of Business at the College of Williams and Mary. So, and also we have the pastor of Zion Grove Baptist Church there in Broadville. His Reverend John D. Camo. He will be joining us this morning at 8:30 this morning. They will certainly get on the platform and you will listen to them religiously and you will question as well on some of this issue. And Amsu Kamara say, I'm watching you from 72nd and Community District 5. Thank you so much, Amsu, for joining us this wonderful day. Okay, let's see. Let me see who I can talk to. Good morning. Good morning, sir. James Logan, yes, I know you there at Nima United Cemetery. Quickly, let's hear you. What's going on there at the cemetery? What's the problem? What have you observed? What's happening there right now? So as things are right now, things are smoothly going. There is no noise, no fighting of graves and all of these things, and people are going smoothly. And are you observing the wearing of masks quickly before I leave you?
Come again.
Are you observing the wearing of masks of those who are turning and wanting to give a facelift to the graves of the loved ones? But have you noticed the washing of hands and all of these things where you found the bucket and
Not really. I think that's true. I can follow that, but majority are there, no mask and no nothing.
Okay. Thank you so much, James Loken. We'll certainly join you later this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The voice of James Loken there, who is there at the Nima United Cemetery, wanting to fill us in with the development this morning. So,
yeah, and we hope that as it started, we can now when you get good news, you can say, yeah, the good news spread all over.
We are getting signal now that definitely we are getting signal that definitely we are surely getting out of the sign to have Reverend John D. Camo. Reverend John D. Camo is a senior pastor of the Zion Grove Baptist Church in Broadville, Liberia, Program Director, Peace Building and Reconciliation for Liberia, Council of Churches, LCC, Liberian former Executive Secretary of Liberia Baptist Seminary Educational Convention. He will certainly join us this morning. on the platform this morning is going to be good, and we're hoping that as soon as we get them clearly, we will certainly join them this morning as we look at the role of religious institutions in managing peace, in harmony of the Liberian state. Managing peace is not something so easy to do. So we will certainly get them on the line this morning. And you can just play your listening role. Later, we open the lines. You have the chance to ask them a few of the questions you may be having on mind to have them on the line. So we are not getting signal. We're seeing John, Reverend Kamo is already on the line this morning from the back there. Hopefully, we will be joined by Sheikh Mohammed Dukle this morning, and together we say good morning to all of you this morning, and good afternoon, good evening to those who are watching far and near, based on your location, what part of the world you find yourselves this wonderful day. To all of the folks this morning, Reverend, if you're getting on, we'd like to say good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen, and good
If we
evening to
certainly getting the
many
Reverend,
of you.
You coming, but you're very low.
All right.
good
Good
morning,
morning.
Reverend.
You guys getting me now?
Yeah, we're getting you with very low, but we are getting you.
Morning
We certainly making all of the
to
adjustment
you,
this morning, wanting
Weekend
to have the
Nathaniel.
Reverend on the line and much audible because our technicians are working to make the audio much lighter than what we receiving, so our audience can actually be a part and parcel of the show this morning, getting all of these things as we talk about the role of religious institution in managing peace and harmony of the Liberian state this morning. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. Good morning, Wicked and Nathaniel. Wicked, please check your system in the studio.
Okay,
There's
we're
echo
not getting
coming from
you.
your studio.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, we also
Is it
been
better?
you're live.
Good morning,
Good
gentlemen.
morning to all of you.
Are you clear?
Good
Reverend Kamo, good
morning.
morning.
Okay, our
Good morning,
technician making all of
Chris.
our technical people making adjustment to have the audio much louder than what we're receiving earlier on. We're coming in much better, but we're hoping that we can get a clear audio from you people wherever you are. Also, all of the
The
folks watching
online
and
people
listening
are
to us
hearing
by
us
radio
clearly.
or on the KOOL online platform. I hope you are now getting us this morning. Reverend Kamo, good morning once again.
Good morning, Wicked. We are getting you loud. You're not getting me.
Okay, all right, folks. As soon as we okay, good morning. We're not set with you now.
Okay, so you can hear us now?
Yeah, we're getting you. We can get you now. Thank you so much. Also joining is Mr. Christopher Hayes on line as well. It's good to have you people this morning on the morning, especially on a day where people have turned out to carry on decoration to various cemeteries of the loved ones across Liberia. Thank you so much for taking up the time to be with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Reverend, good morning. Let's look at you once again. Start up with this issue, the role of religious institution in managing the peace and harmony of this country called Liberia that we have enjoyed for so long, and also politics seems to be wanting to tear it apart. So let's hear you from your own perspective and the religious side from where you come from.
Hello, uh, very much.
Okay.
The expression of faith and spirituality when it comes to the Liberian society, one cannot in no way express the Liberian culture rooted within a faith and spirituality that from the founding of Liberia from 1822 to present, Liberia is still deep in religious practices and religious institutions continue to serve as continue to, matter of fact, give a pivotal role in the peace and development of Liberia. Say that to say, are you getting me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you can go ahead. We're listening.
Reverend, are you there?
I think he's having
So
problem
the
with his net.
pivotal role that religious institutions continue to play, the pivotal role that religious institutions in Liberia continue in the peace and growth of that nation cannot be religious institutions that say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Wiki, can you hear me?
Yeah, we are catching you.
Yes, we're getting you.
Okay, so I don't know what's happening with Reverend Kamo's laptop, but this is the situation from how I see it. In normal day Liberia, we had all religions, most importantly, the Christian faith and the
Mm-hmm.
Muslims, the Islamic faith. I grew up in a environment where I had 5 Islamic brothers and myself who were close friends. And there was peace and harmony. We ate in each other's houses. My mother won't cook pig food because my friends were coming. So we sincerely believe that the foundation to which we grew up was fantastic. I remember my mother died and she was being buried in Zangro Baptist Church. You had both faith present in the church. Um, so it simply means that the religious tension that we witness in modern day has been purely based on the politics. And we have to drift from that back to the days where Christians and Muslims walked freely, had time freely to do what they had to do, and there was no reason for tension. Reverend Kamo, are you back? So basically, what we are experiencing, religious bodies have a major role to play. So let's go back to Reverend Kamo. Reverend Kamo, are you back?
Reverend Kamo, welcome back. Are you getting us right? Let's hear you.
I think it's so in maintaining peace, what you require
And
is
actually, we receive them.
what you
Yes,
require
I'm
is
back. Are you getting me?
yes, you can go ahead.
Hello?
We are hearing you.
Reverend, go ahead. We are getting you.
our audience on the file to get the clear audio this morning, at least this morning. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm
Larry seems
you
to be
guys
on
getting
the
me?
terrible network this morning. But we getting him
We are
quickly.
hearing
So
you.
now I got much clearer from the United States. But we're hoping that Remy can make some adjustment and see how best because and can actually come up much better this morning to get all of the side of the relationship what we're discussing this morning. So if Eric come on, you much better this morning. Then let's hear from you this morning. You're welcome back and let's hear you again.
If he's not there, if it's not clear, then we have to move on.
Thank you ever so much. I'm just concerned. Are you really hearing?
Yes, you go ahead, Reverend
Yeah,
Campbell.
we
Don't
are
bother
getting you,
the
Reverend Camo.
Good.
We are actually making
Weekie.
every effort to get.
Yeah, this is very interesting discussion this morning, and we're hoping that we can actually go together and come up. But it seems it's low and not what seems to be terrible this morning from his end. Um, not getting
Okay.
as we
So
talk to
listen,
you this
let's
morning.
put it this way, Wiki
Okay.
and Bega. Let's be honest with ourselves. Has there been issue in Liberia
Mhm.
that has affected religion? When Muslims are marrying Christians and Christians are marrying Muslims, when there are parties, when the traditional weddings are almost the same, when the weddings are almost the same, when the parties are held everywhere, when they sleep in the same house and nobody's taking knife and cutlasses for each other. Reverend Kamo, if we are back, then we can join you. Especially these days, that they are educated leaders in both faith. The Imam Sheikh that's coming on is so educated. Wiki, please note, once you get Reverend Kamo, you let us know. And Eva. These people are
Yeah,
not
we got you. Go ahead, please.
extremism. They are preaching and talking to their followings as to how to conduct themselves in good faith. We are all in schools learning. Our children are in the same schools. How can we now say that all of a sudden we don't have a foundation? We do have a foundation. And that foundation is what has helped us so far. There's a religious council, when they are attention, they are involved. But looking at where we are from and where we are going, how much role can they play in continuing maintaining the peace? That is the struggle that we have to contend with. And that's why we wish we had Reverend Kamo and the Imam here to help dig into this. Reverend Kamo, are you there?
Reverend, we'll show you have made some adjustment and we can hear from you now this
I'm
morning.
back.
You listen to all of the conference. Let's hear from you, Reverend Kamo, of the Zion Group Baptist Church there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just listening to what Chris was just saying about mending the peace. I mean, considering what religious institutions done in the past, and each of you in the studio there are not strangers to what religious institutions have done in the past and what they are still doing. Um, Both religious institutions are credible and trusted uh, institutions. They bring to bear values, credible, trusted values. And those values must still be withheld within the religious cycle if men and women going to trust them. So part of mending the peace, part of what's going to make the peace for our nation is that we still need credible and trusted religious leaders that we can trust the state affairs of our nation, who can speak on our behalf, when we have issues. You know, to sidetrack a little bit, sometimes in Liberia, when you have issues, you hear people asking where is the Marcus Francis and the Marcus Francis and others. Where is the Sheikh Kabu Makonnen? I mean, going still have and religious development of our nation. And so our religious institutions still need to keep our credibility, the values, the tenets that make us unique. They still need to be withheld if we're going to manage peace, because we cannot walk into an action mode where we are blended with those who are causing trouble. So we still got to work astutely.
Okay, so let's take it, Reverend Kamo, let's take a break from you and join the Imam.
Yeah,
he's just gone back.
Douglas this morning who just joined us.
He just gone off again. So
okay. Reverend, you can continue. As soon as we get him back, we will link up with him.
So religious institutions, I'm not sure about politics, but I think what has happened is that most religious institutions leaders and somehow being caught up between the powers that be and then serving their religious roles. So again, we must draw a dichotomy.
Should that be the case? Should that be the case? How did they get caught up? Should they be? Are they not supposed to be the high moral grounders who should help us?
Again, Chris, I cannot actually speak for all religious leaders, but men, let's say after our crisis, people become polarized and mix up in a lot of stuff. People being offered jobs and all of these things. So people have compromised the truth in pursuit of greener pasture, and things that continue to affect our credibility of our institutions and our norms and value. Again, we got to continuously employ the possibility of having these credible men come back on the table.
So are you saying that the human part of us come into this, where when it comes to the issue of money and job?
Are you there, Reverend Kamo?
You are now coming in very low again. You're much better.
Anyway,
I lost Chris, but can Chris come back?
Yeah, I said, doesn't mean the human side comes into it, where money and job and power influences religious leaders and redirect or reset the buttons on how to carry along the followers. But in the meantime, let me talk to Imam Sheikh was online again and he's off. Okay. Imam, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm sure you understood where we came from. Imam is also in Browville. He's very vast in what's happening in Liberia, and he's joining us. We have Reverend Kamo, your pastor neighbor from Browville as well. And we thought to understand the issue. So I'm handing over to Weekie Brook to redirect the question, and let's move forward.
Okay, we'd like to say, Sheikh Mohammed Douglas, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this wonderful day.
Imam, don't forget.
No, Sheikh.
Imam Douglas, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure being here. It's just
Okay,
a
that's
being a
wonderful
little
to have
inconvenience.
you. We now looking at the role of religious institution in maintaining the peace and harmony of this great Liberian state. What is your own thought? Walk us through this in maintaining religiously.
Let me first say thank you for the opportunity for us to talk on this issue, as the affairs of a nation are crucially fundamental on the stability of that nation. That has got to do with the peace. And yes, religious institutions must play a very significant role, not only in maintaining the peace, but highlighting the significance of peace and peaceful coexistence amongst the people. If you look at all of the religions, now that we have representative from both the Christian and Islamic side, they both have similar definition of peace. Islam itself as a word is from the word salam, which means total submission to the will of God, with an outcome of peacefully living with each other and respecting each other regardless of how people behave or what they believe in. If you go on the other side, Christianity also believes the same thing, because when Jesus says, "My peace I leave unto you," he was not talking about the absence of gun, but rather he was talking about the acknowledgement of each other and respecting each other, which, the Beatitudes say, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they are called sons of God." So with religion, there's a set of culture or set of practices and beliefs coded by a book that every human being looks up to, regardless of what religion you come from. And that's why people look up to religious leaders as the echelons of moral virtues to be able to teach them as to what is right and what is wrong. And that's the reason why I strongly believe that religious leaders play a major role in the maintenance of peace. But how does that happen? It means that, in my view, religious leaders must be the honorable exemplar that they want people to be. The moral values that society aspires must be seen in the religious institutions. That means that religious institutions and those who are charged with the responsibility of teaching those values must rise above the occasion to exhibit those behavior patterns so that people themselves will see those patterns in them as a way of life. For instance, in Liberia, corruption is a major issue, which is also an impediment to peace in this country. It means that religious leaders must be seen in the limelight as corruption within their own homes, within their own churches, within their own mosques, within their own settings, so that people will see that act of corruption as a vice. So when we say that religious institutions have a major role to play, it means that it must start with the religious institutions and those people who represent those religious institutions, because charity begins at home and ends abroad. But if you look today as well, in most of our institutions, be it in the mosque, be it in the church, the corruption itself or the proliferation of vices begin even within the institutions. So in this, the institution that must be the limelight, the institution that must be the leader, the institution that people must take clue from or cue from and yield to their instructions, they themselves, in many instances, tend to be the violators of the law. They tend to be the ones who undermine the moral codes. As a result, society is going helter-skelter.
So let's look at it this way. From what you've just said, the high moral grounds actually is with the leaders of these religious institutions. We must begin to understand, how are these religious institutions capable of electing, selecting, or imposing religious leaders upon their followings that allows them to carry the uniqueness without being able to get corrupt so easily and without being able to be pushed or distracted from what they have to do to lead their followings, because their followings is the nation. How can that work in a way that Liberia wouldn't have been distracted by getting the wrong people in the wrong places?
Thank you so much. Most of those who are in politics, because when we speak of leaders, let me just narrow it to politics today. Most of those who are in politics or those who work in government, you'll find out that most of those people, 95% or 99%, they either are in the church or they are in the mosque. It's either they go to church or they go to the mosque. And if they go to the church, that means they listen to the pastors, they listen to the reverend, they listen to the preachers. And if they go to the mosque, That means that they listen to the imam, the sheikh, and those who are there. Their upbringing itself is rooted in either of those two environments, the church or the mosque. It would then mean that those who go to church, the leaders who are there, must be firm enough to divest themselves from materialism, to divest from themselves from opportunism, to stand firm and uphold the virtues, and ensure that the leaders, who are people who go to their churches and mosques, will follow those rules sternly. What do I mean by this? If I am an imam and I administer sermons, or I'm responsible for a mosque, or I am a sheikh, I lead a huge flock of Muslims in Liberia, it means that I must ensure that within the circle of the Islamic community over whom I have responsibility, those Islamic teachings must be upheld, so much so that they will be reflected within the lives of the people who ordinarily will transition to become political leaders. That means I am not going to encourage someone whom I know can be proven is a black money dealer, is a BM, is a 419, or is involved in vices. I cannot help such a person in such a way as to make him a representative of my religion.
Exactly. So now, check. Let's move up to Reverend Kamo. Reverend Kamo, he just strikes very key points. He says, in my institution, as a leader of the religious institution, having to glorify 419ers, what we call BMs guys, Yahoo guys, wrong source of income, ritualists, celebrating them in the religious institutions, taking care of their weddings, making them fathers of the year, making them special leaders in the mosque, are actually the core roots of the institution. And when these foundations are broken, it's difficult for religious institutions to maintain the peace in the country. Do you agree? Reverend Kamo.
Well,
Reverend Kamo, I'm sure you got the question and you listened to Imam Duple clearly this morning. Let's hear your side of your own understanding what he said earlier.
I'm not sure that I want to like 100% agree when it comes to lifting. Realize that these religious bodies, they are all people centered, and the people that we deal with, they are not upright and righteous people. Both the mosque and the church, and even the traditional worshippers, these are sinners that come to the house of God that we need to clean up. So what we can do as religious institution is that those of us who are responsible to dispense the moral virtues of these institutions, they walk, and talk they talk, so that the followers, those who come in, will follow our examples. So my position is that those of us who lead must lead with distinction, so that those who we are teaching will follow the way we walk. So that is must be with her. We can true. Say, all right. We cannot engage or indulge ourselves in things that will derail the credibility of the institutions we lead. So we must lead by the examples. But as to whether because people come into the church, maybe 4-1 or 4-1, how you call them? 4-1 what? Some 4-1 person. Our responsibility is to clean up those persons. So I don't think there's a room to drive.
So what you're trying to say, is that religious leaders have, Reverend Kamo, what you're trying to say is that religious leaders have some complex functions, even more complex than being the leaders of the state, because you are supposed to bring people together and try to clean them from their thoughts, minds, and actions, instead of just pushing them in the or driving them away from the religious institutions. And It's not far from what Reverend Imam Sheikh is also saying, because he's saying, listen, we need to make sure that as much as we're trying to bring these people back together, we must be prepared to tell them the truth. And we must let them face reality that, listen, we will be able to tell you the truth, lead you into the right path, but there are things that you cannot bring into the religious institutions, because these things you bring to the religious institutions could actually rot the religious institutions and not allow us to have a say. Because they say corruption is by association. So let's shift a bit from there and come. Reverend Kamo and Reverend Imam, we are aware that in the normal days of Liberia, which we call normal days, you were not brought up on your own. You were brought up by the elders in your neighborhood, which included both Christians and Muslim parents.
Yes.
When you err in your community, you are flogged.
Yes.
If Christian, I was flogged by Omen Sware. I was flogged by Papa Janet. I was flogged by Omen Sila. I was flogged by Kroma. I've seen the flogging. Not the old men, but even our senior brothers. And we don't dare run home to report, say, Mommy, we Christian or they Muslim person flog us. The flogging will come again. Now, those are the things that made us never saw ourselves on religious line. You know, can we say that we've lost those eras, or we are still there, and there is something unique about us as a people in Liberia? Because the question would be, have we been divided along religious lines, or is it politics that is dividing us?
Hello?
We're here, we're listening to you.
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say yes, we've lost that value system. And the reason is the people back in the days, the older folks you talk about, those who came before us, they did not see themselves as different individuals. They saw themselves as one group of people, as sons and daughters of the same soul, as creations of God, as people who are related by humanity, with respective traditions and cultural values that must be respected irrespective. That is to say that I did not see myself back then as a Muslim being better than a Christian. What I saw was that as a Muslim being a brother to another person, whether that person is a Muslim or not, which people saw themselves in that manner, and people understood that the community was built upon the nuclear, which was the constituents of that community, the children, and every child was everybody's child. And people did not judge people at the time. They did not politicize the society by using religion. That's why people coexisted, because even in Quran chapter 109 says, your religion is your religion, my religion is my religion. Your tradition is your tradition, my tradition is my tradition. What we need to do is peacefully coexist and respect each other.
So
that was the lifestyle at the time, but that is missing today. Today we judge each other, and a Muslim will want to claim that he's better than Christian, a Christian wants to claim that he's better than a Muslim, and there is this problem. We begin to demonize and criticize.
Let's hold you there.
Okay.
Do you agree with what he just said?
Well, to some extent, all right. What I want to bring to bear, we must understand that we live in a different world and a different era and different times, and things have so relatively changed because of education. There are a lot of things have changed, that some of our practices, cultural values, we no longer can do certain things, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot be brother's keeper.
Yeah, but fundamentally, what he said, we've lost our social fabric values, which kept us united, which kept us walking along each other's lines, instead of forming political parties based on religious lines. Let's take you away from there. Weekie, let's introduce the issues regarding the deaths around Liberia. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
You go ahead. You got a second question.
Yeah, we listen to all of the analysis coming in from all indication. We what we listen to Reverend Kamo, we listen to Imadukle. It tells that there are problems you people have identified, but we want to know at this time how in all of the difficulties and all of these things in our society currently, where politics are threatening to discontinue the coexistence of Muslims and Christians and all of religions in our country. What have we done to maintain, or what can we do to maintain the coexistence? And what can we do as a nation? How are Muslim and Christian being able to manage over the period of time to maintain being so religious tolerant and have reached this far, while politics on the other side fighting to destroy the unity over the period of time? Let's hear from you people as you talk about.
In the first place, we need, as religious institutions, we need to go back to the teaching that we are all creations of one God, Almighty God, regardless of whether you call him Yahweh, you call him this, you call him that. The fact is that we say one nation indivisible with justice, liberty, and justice for all, that we are each other's keepers. And in so doing, let's begin to look at the core values that must be taught, those core values that kept our society sacred and sanctified and united. Because if you look across the religions, all the core values are the same. The Bible will tell you thou shalt not steal. The Quran says thou shalt not steal. The Bible says thou shalt not fornicate. The Quran says thou shalt not fornicate. Thou shalt not murder. So all of the ethical values and boundaries that are set by nature, they are the same in all of the religions. So if we begin to teach them and forget about fundamentalist principles across the religions, where we begin to make people, to groom people to become good citizens, I think then that will transition into good political leaders. But I think in most of our institutions today, we are so pressed on competing with each other in such a way that we make one to grow up thinking that he's better than the other in terms of religious line. And that is to say that we are, in our time today, we pass more judgment. Let's leave the judgment with Almighty God. Let him be the one to judge us when the time comes. What we need to do as a solution in our institutions, let's begin to teach our kids how to love each other, how to respect each other. Because the Bible says, love God above all things and love your neighbor as yourself. In
Imam,
Islam, it's also in. Sorry?
Imam, let's hold you there. Let's look at, because of time, let's look at some other core issues. Tell me, what is your opinion about the things that are happening, that every morning we wake up, we find a dead body on our street, and we do not see the level of investigation to find out how that person got on the street and how they got dead, who were the perpetrators? Because if you have a crime and you don't follow up the prosecution to punish the perpetrators of the crime becomes a way of life.
The first thing is that if you ask me, I would say that it's because of the prevalence of judicial compromise. Our judicial system itself, if you ask me, is being compromised. There's no judicial equality any longer in this country. As a matter of fact, justice now for me is only for those who are connected or those who have the resources to influence justice in their favor. So that is one reason. And the reason that is also so is because those that we are allowing or we are entrusted with leadership, those people themselves, they are not trustworthy in many instances. In many instances, they are not qualified. In many instances, they are not capable. In many instances, they don't have the know-how. And what you don't have, you cannot offer. Just like they say, when the capables are not available, the availables obviously become the capable, and everything that must be possible becomes impossible. So there is no judicial equality in this country. People don't have the willpower to do so, or people are in position not because they married them, but because they were being chosen based on favoritism or some parochial interest, and therefore their loyalty is not to the state, their loyalty is to someone else. Their loyalty is not to the people, their loyalty is the one that made them or the one that handpicked them to be there. So whatever decisions they make or whatever actions they take, those actions in most instances are influenced in the direction of those people who handpicked them. The second thing I want to bring here is, when we say politics, it says in a simple term, is a science that has got to do with the allocation of state resources on an equitable basis. That then will mean that those who will be entrusted with those responsibilities must be people who are ethical, people who are moral, people who are exemplary. And that means that if you look within the religious setting today, we ourselves, we have distanced religious decision from political decision because we believe that when you are a clergyman, you should not get involved in politics. Now, if politics is a science of decision making to equitably distribute resources, allocate resources, and honorably represent the individuals, then those who truly understand religious issues, those who are clerical and morally upright, should be the right people to be in those positions so that the right decisions will be made. But if you look in our setting today, those who are politicians are normally the crooks, because that's how society has misdefined politics. That for you to be a politician, you must be a rogue, you must be a crook, you must be a criminal. And we will, in the religious setting, we have accepted that. In fact, we have distanced ourselves from politics. You know, politics itself is religion, and politics is part of religion. So if the clerics or the religious clerics who have the moral rectitude, who have the ethical stance, refuse to be involved, obviously those who don't have it will be involved. And any decision that comes out of that, you should not accept it to be.
Imam, let me hold you there. Are you simply saying that the masses' lives do not matter any longer?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the masses' lives matter. And anyone who falls in the street, that person falling, whether dead or wounded, must be investigated to the letter. But that responsibility is being squarely given to or entrusted to the government.
And Ima, let me come a little bit. Ima, let me just come in. We have already identified the problems. Are you getting me?
I'm listening.
Yeah, we have already identified this problem. But I want to ask you, as a religious leader, do you think the religious sector, they have realized that this is a problem? Do you think the judicial system authorities have realized this is a problem, that we have swayed away from those morals? Do you think they have realized this?
Well, holistically, I would say no. Perhaps individually, I would tell you yes. Collectively, as a religious community, I mean, both sides, holistically, I would tell you no. I don't think we've come to that realization. And the reason I say that, if we came to that realization as religious community, I'm talking about holistic religious community, whether Muslim or Christian, that means we will be pointing our flocks. We will be directing them in those directions that will lead them to make sound decisions to allow the right people to steer our affairs. But in many instances, we are the religious leaders or the religious institutions are the ones who influence decisions in the wrong way. So that's why I say holistically, I don't think we've come to that realization. I think we are still in denial. So we have a major role to play in that.
Okay. Va, that was a beautiful question. That was a very beautiful question you just asked, Imam.
Imam Dukle, with that said and done for you and that of, because we're now getting Remy Kamon, we hope you listen as well. We want to know now, with that said and done, what advice there for the nation that we can all go back to the good path and make sure that we move this country forward in that direction?
The first thing is, let's love ourselves. That's number one. And to love ourselves, whatever following we have, if we want to be a Muslim, we want to be a Christian, let's take our time to understand the book that we believe in. Because there are great teachings in those books. In many instances, we profess to have the identity of a particular religion, but the content is not within us. And when the content is not within us, obviously the output will not be right. So let's take our time to really understand and see how practically we can apply the teachings of the religions that we follow in such a way that will bring us together, make us to respect each other, and at the same time positively influence the decisions that we make. Number two, in our various churches and mosques, let's forget about somebody going to hell, somebody going to heaven, and let's forget about teaching about prosperity or so. Let's teach the moral values that really band us together, the core values that we need as a people, as a nation to prosper, as a nation to hold together, as a nation to reconcile, as a nation to heal. Those core values must now be taught. We must begin to tell. Sorry?
Before we go, Weekie, please give me this chance. Before we go, we've lost the opportunity of teaching civic education in school. One, we don't teach civic education in schools. They were the very foundation upon which moral values were imparted into us as young generations. Two, we no longer consider it important to pray in schools because the law have said it's not compulsory and it should not be done, etc., etc. How have these now affected us today? Because there's no unity, there's no nationalism, there's no patriotism. We only look up to religious leaders. Do you think civic education should go back in schools?
Let's go first to the prayer aspect. Praying in school without praying at home, for me, is useless. In the first place is that let's go back to praying in our very homes and understanding the reason why we pray. And attach some value to our prayers. That's number one. Because when we understand why we pray and why we should pray and what values we should attach, and the expectation of our prayers, then it will make sense even if we pray in school. Because the students that you see in the various school come from the various communities, and the communities there is broken down into homes. So the first thing is let's have those values in the homes, and in most homes those values are missing today. The second thing is that yes, we should reintroduce the civic education. However, the reintroduction of the civic education alone is not enough. At the end of the day, civic education is only helping you to understand. But when reality comes in, the interpretation of those laws that the civic education border on, those interpretations must be entrusted in the hands of people who also have great moral values. So even if we understand all of the civic education, but then the court is corrupted or the judges are corrupted, that means the civic education will be useless. We might just revert to jungle justice where people will take justice in their hand.
Weekie?
You mentioned the court. Let me just comment a little bit. You mentioned the court. Are we having a very serious confusion in this thing? Like we talk about moral back in the days. If a child goes wrong, a senior brother or a father there can spank him and set him right. Even if he goes home, his parents will say, you shouldn't have done this thing. And now with the law that they do, with these all rights thing that forbade you chastising another person's child in the community, forbade you setting things straight with another child, another parent's children. Do you think there's a serious confusion? And how did we get at this point?
I certainly agree with you. Back in the days, if I misbehaved, anyone in that community as an adult could just discipline me. In fact, I would be happy for them to discipline me and then let the story stay just there as opposed to they carry my information to my parents. Right? I'll be very happy. I mean, I grew up in that system as well. I grew up right in Nigeria. Our one just taught me. Hello?
Go ahead, lost it.
Yeah, so we have lost those values. And you see, when that used to happen, it made every child to understand that every adult is your uncle, every adult is your father. And that means that everyone is a stakeholder in that community. And you as a child, you are also responsible to maintain the rule of law because you are also a stakeholder and you are owned by everyone. So it was never the issue of my child, your child. Because of that holistic value system, every child was brought up on the same level of discipline. And therefore, you could see the unanimous understanding amongst people. But again, we've gone astray so much so that a lot of our cultural values, we've downplayed them in the name of westernization, in the name of religion. And I said on another platform at some point in time, religion does not go against our cultural value for as long as our cultural values don't conflict with core religious principles. There's no religion that is against discipline. There's no religion that is against discipline. So for us to discipline our children, the Bible says, do not spare the rod and spoil the child. Islam says the same thing. So we should go back to that value system where if a child does something, we should be able to discipline that child irrespective of whose child that child is. But today it's a different thing. Child right abuse, don't touch my child, don't talk to my child, even to the extent that we go to institutions and insult our teachers and professors on behalf of our children. Back in the days, if it misbehave in the school, the teacher will flog you. And if you are unlucky, if the complaint goes to a parent, the parents will bring you to the school and discipline you. Right? One will say, oh, it's fear mongering, but it is that fear that translates into respect as you grow up. The fear that you develop for your adults, it is that fear that translates into respect and honor and dignity for them as you grow up. It is that same fear that translates into mercy and love for them. That's why most African children who went through those disciplines, they don't forget about their parents. But those who didn't go through it, you see, they are very hard-hearted. They don't care about their parents so much because it was never a foundation for them.
Okay,
So
so
yes,
hold on. Reverend, no, hold on, everybody.
Okay,
Let's get
sir.
this one straight. Let's get it straight. This is the final stuff towards this.
Okay, check. Dugle this
Excuse me.
morning. Iman Dugle, thank you so much. We
No,
hope we can just go to the line this morning, take a few calls. We show people want to please one or two calls to you. Iman Dugle and as well Pastor Kamo, Mr. Christopher, he's from Monica, who also joining us on the platform this morning. So let's go to take a few calls. We know you got to run up to speed based on the time.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm Bamboo Watson calling from KOOL. Yeah, I really admire this topic this morning. I'm so impressed and thanks the Imam and the Very this morning for this wonderful topic. Even your CEO. You know, two things I really grabbed this morning from them. They talk about the value and they talk about the law enforcement. When your CEO talk about that is dropping all around, and the Imam Kim said that because of the judicial branch, and the law is not enforcing itself in this country. And two, when we come to the religion part, we lost value totally. In a sense that we see people doing their own thing, all in the name of I got my own church or I got my own mosque, and because I'm Muslim and you are Christian, we are no longer. And some of us, fortunately for us, we from the low-far side, we both have the both religion, Muslims and Christians. And sometimes we see that division, and to me, it's not really necessary. It's not necessary. We serve the same God.
Okay.
So I really admire them this morning. And they come to the discipline side. Today we see how children doing their own thing. And those days when we're coming up, we saw our people enforcing the law or culture that when you see error, you bow and speak to them. But today, somebody not giving eye title. Hey, you John, you Peter. No. We are losing all these things.
Okay, thank you so much. You said we are lost. Let's hear the first caller. Your live.
Good morning, Weekie Brook.
Yeah, let's hear you quickly.
Thank you. My name is Ian Patrick Bella when I call from tomorrow. Weekie, let me appreciate you this morning and the pastor and the imam, including Mr. Christopher here for Laninga. I listened to them critically. They spoke on several national issues. But my question has to do with the issue of the role of our religious organization like Nigeria. We saw back in 2020 December, we saw a group of pastors going to the pastoral and they were necessary for them to go and petition for the teaching thing that God has chosen to be the center of Montreal County. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this caller. Your live.
Good morning, Mr. Brook.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Thank you. And let me say good morning to my good brother Jane and son of Jesus. This is Tony B. Let me say thanks to the imam and the pastor and also the CEO. All what the imam said, it is true. I'm always telling my friend young people and Weekie and Brook, Weekie and Bar, it just happened to me in the 2000s. Now in the 1990s, 1980s, just in 2000. Or when we're coming all in the repetition, if they are 7 years, those that even our instructors, when that on campus, when you see an instructor coming, you do wrong, you can't say yourself. I'm talking about when you on campus. I can remember 2006, 2007 when they tell me on my campus, I did wrong for my husband, I did wrong to somebody to commit it. And then they took my complaint example. I can remember the day that I did it from the class. And my mother even got me added up. So I really want to know when it came up. What can we do to bring back this real value and to make our brothers and sisters respect their parents?
Thank you so much. Let's talk to this caller. Your live quickly.
Good morning, Weekie.
Good morning, sir.
Let me
to Liberia. The name is Weekie George, and I joined you this morning from Baptist Seminary. Weekie are listening to Brook of the Quarter, and I don't think that they are blaming the situation that have been explained by your two still guests by religious leaders. Religious leaders have been playing their best. They have been doing their best to teach these various moral practices in this country, even that the applications of these moral practices left with we that have been taught the moral practices. But here is it: if you do not practice this moral teaching, you do not blame them on the religious leaders. They have played their part. For the person that came on and asked, say that religious leaders group themselves to go and petition the political leaders, they are human beings. They are not God. They are human beings. Sometimes they feel that this person is the right person because of certain things that this person has done, but that does not in any case give anybody a credence to speak against religious leaders. These are people that hear from above, and these are people that God relates to when it comes to the country.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have to go around the country this morning looking at the Decoration Day. But let's go back to Iman, Iman Sheikh Dube this morning to answer some of the concern and have his party coming.
Someone asked the question, what can be done for the young to respect the elders as it used to be done?
Yeah.
I think we need to go back and we need to take time to understand our culture, like we've always said. And in that case, we can reintroduce the Palapa Health Peace and Unity Reconciliation model. Back in the days, issues were discussed under the Palapa Health. There was nothing like a court house. You go, if you are wrong, in some cultures, you beg, you beg for, bend down. And those things, or you hug each other, those things were resolved. So we can go back to some of those systems. The other thing is that let's come back to the communal living system that people have. Look, we must now begin to understand that, look, if one child is damaged in the community, that child is damaged on everybody. Because no matter how many value systems you place, no matter how many great values you impact onto your children in your house, those children's interactions are 99% of the time in the community. If the community itself is polluted, your children will, the values you impart on your children in your house will be useless. So what we should be concerned about how the community itself can be sanitized. Because if the children in the community are behaving well, you don't even need to worry about your children in the house because they will adapt the behavior in the community and all of them will behave well. So we need to go back to that community system, and that would mean that let's understand our culture and value it and cling on to the good ones. The ones that are detrimental to our survival, unity, and existence, then we can maybe say, let's forget about those. But outrightly, we should not just throw our culture away. The second one was that religious institutions are endorsing a particular candidate. First of all, let me make it clear. I don't believe that just the fact that you are a religious person means that you should depoliticize yourself. However, given that religious institutions and religious clerics are people that the world or maybe the society looks up to, it means that they should be more concerned about pointing out and highlighting those moral values, those ethical values that are expected of great leaders. Because when they say teach a man how to fish and he will be able to, find a living for himself. If people point out the great values that if you want to vote for a leader, the person must be upright, there must be this, there must be that. If that is imparted onto them, you don't need to endorse anyone. They themselves can make the right decision because you are already giving them that knowledge, right? And that will also mean that when you begin to teach people those value systems and stick to it, the very people who are living from the mosque and the church who want to be politicians, then will be great politicians.
Let me hold you there a little bit. Let me hold you there a little bit with the issue of petitioning religious leaders going to endorse political leaders, politicians. Is this a serious contradiction? Because many a times they say this is the voice of God, and at the end of the day, these things doesn't work out, and people see it like it is not God speaking because they go there and say there's the right candidate. But at the end of the day, the candidate are not being elected. Is there a serious confusion there?
Yeah, I think those actions undermine the veracity of the teaching of God. Those actions on the part of whether it's imams or is religious clerks, bishop, pastors in our country, as we've experienced, they are undermining the seriousness that people must attach to religious teaching. Because in 9, that's what I said, in 9 out of 10 instances, people that are endorsed in most instances are not people who are in the things of God, are not people who have the right characteristics, the character to lead people, and the outcome is always bad. So when you do that, it takes away from the essence of people even listening to you. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that people should, if we would do it, like I said, the solution would be teach the people what is right. And
thank you, Weekie. I think at this stage,
leader, as a religious leader, your actions and your speeches are policy statement. If you stand up today, you say, I'm going to support Mohammed Duple, obviously your flock, the masses will follow you. Now, if you are heading the wrong direction, that means you have led all of them in the wrong direction. But if you teach them to look for what is great or what is best for this country in a leader, they themselves will make that decision, and that is even better than saying, I endorse this candidate, in my view.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Weekie and Baraga.
Okay. Sheikh Mohammed Duple, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us this morning, and Reverend John D. Camo of the Zion Baptist Church alongside Mr. Christopher Hisomanuga. Thank you so much for taking up all of your time to be with us this morning and enlightening our people as it relates to the old days and how we can maintain it currently. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you guys across Washington. Okay. Thank you so much. Or you listen to the voices there for Mr. Christopher Hisomanuga and the rest of the other folks. We come back with review hopefully some of the comment, but let's take this break quickly and
begin at TuneInBible.com. Ladies and gentlemen, all travels from all countries, over 200 or more coronavirus cases are hereby banned. All citizens and residents are urged to avoid public gatherings and large crowds. Try to keep a minimum social distance of at least 6 feet from people with fever, cough, sneezing, and difficulty in breathing.